I'm Clara Nightwell, and I'm here with Rowan Hartsteele.
Tonight, we're talking about one of the most important minds behind the modern world, Alan Turing, a man whose ideas made computers possible and whose life became deeply controversial in his own time.
A genius who helped build our technological future, but who was treated as a problem by the society he lived in.
His work shaped how machines think, and his story forces us to ask how we treat the people who change our world.
So, let's begin. Rowan, before Alan Turing became this legendary figure in technology, what kind of world did he grow up in? What shaped him as a child?
Turing was born in 1912 in England, into a society that valued tradition, hierarchy, and conformity. It was a world that expected people to fit neatly into predefined roles, and he never quite did.
Was he already different back then?
Very much so. As a boy, Turing was fascinated by numbers, patterns, and puzzles. While other children played games, he was quietly trying to understand how things worked at the deepest level.
That kind of curiosity can be beautiful and lonely.
He struggled in school not because he wasn't intelligent, but because his mind didn't move in straight lines. Teachers often saw him as awkward, absent-minded, or difficult.
So even early on, he didn't quite belong.
Exactly. One of the most important moments of his young life was his friendship with another student, Christopher Morcom. For the first time, Turing felt understood.
And that relationship mattered to him deeply, didn't it?
It did. When Morcom died suddenly, it devastated Turing. It pushed him to think about life, death, and whether the human mind could somehow exist beyond the physical world.
That kind of loss can change a person forever.
For Turing, it fueled a lifelong obsession with the nature of thought itself. He began to wonder if the mind could be described as a kind of machine, something that followed rules, patterns, and logic.
So even in grief, he was already moving toward ideas that would change the future.
Yes, his pain didn't close him. It sharpened him, and it set him on a path toward asking one of the most radical questions of the modern age: can a machine think?
So Rowan, how did those early questions turn into the ideas that eventually created modern computing?
When Turing went to Cambridge, he entered a world of mathematics that was struggling with one enormous problem. What does it really mean to calculate something? People were trying to define what a computation actually was.
That sounds abstract, but it ended up being incredibly practical.
Very much so. Turing proposed a simple but revolutionary idea. Imagine a machine that could follow a list of instructions, step by step, manipulating symbols according to clear rules. That imaginary device became what we now call the Turing machine.
So he wasn't building a machine with wires yet, he was building one in his mind.
Exactly. And what made it so powerful was that this single theoretical machine could, in principle, perform any calculation that any other machine could. It was a universal machine.
That's basically the blueprint for every computer we use today.
It is. Turing showed that thinking, problem-solving, and even reasoning could be described as mechanical processes. That idea was shocking to many philosophers at the time.
Because it suggested that the human mind might not be as mysterious as people wanted to believe.
Exactly! It blurred the line between human thought and machine processes, and that made some people deeply uncomfortable.
But it also opened the door to something entirely new.
It did. Without Turing's work, modern computers, artificial intelligence, and even the devices we carry in our pockets would not exist in the same way.
So while the world was still living in paper and ink, he was already imagining silicon and code.
And he had no idea yet how urgently the world would need those ideas.
Rowan, when the war began, how did Turing's abstract ideas suddenly become something the world desperately needed?
When World War II broke out, Britain was fighting not just with soldiers and weapons, but with information. The German military used a complex encryption machine called Enigma to hide its communications.
So even if you intercepted a message, you couldn't read it.
Exactly. Millions of possible settings changed every day. To decode a single message by hand would have taken longer than the war itself.
And this is where Turing's way of thinking made the difference.
At Bletchley Park, Turing designed machines that could rapidly test thousands of possibilities. These early electromechanical devices, called bombs, were inspired by his theoretical work on computation.
So his imaginary machines suddenly became real ones.
Yes. And with them, Allied codebreakers began reading secret German messages. They could see submarine movements, military plans, and strategic decisions in near real time.
Which meant lives could be saved.
Millions of them. Many historians believe Turing's work shortened the war by years.
And yet, almost no one knew he had done it.
Everything was classified. The people who changed the course of history were sworn to silence. Turing returned to civilian life as an anonymous man.
A hero without a story.
And that silence would make what happened next even more tragic.
Rowan, after everything he did during the war, what happened to Turing when peace returned?
After the war, Turing continued his groundbreaking work on computers and artificial intelligence. But in the eyes of the law, none of that mattered. What mattered was who he loved.
Because being gay was still a crime in Britain.
In 1952, Turing was arrested and charged with gross indecency for having a relationship with another man. The same government he had served now treated him as a criminal.
That feels unbearably cruel.
He was given a choice: go to prison or undergo chemical castration through hormone treatments. Turing chose the treatment so he could continue working.
And that must have changed him deeply.
It did. The treatment affected his body, his mind, and his sense of self. He was also stripped of his security clearance, isolating him from much of the work he loved.
So the man who helped save the world was pushed to the margins of it.
2 years later, in 1954, Alan Turing was found dead from cyanide poisoning. His death was ruled a suicide, though it has remained a subject of debate.
That's heartbreaking.
It was the tragic end of a life that had given so much to humanity.
Rowan, after everything Alan Turing gave to the world, how should we remember him today?
We should remember him not only as a brilliant mathematician, but as one of the true architects of the modern world. Every computer, every smartphone, every piece of software carries traces of the ideas he imagined decades before they existed. Turing showed us that thinking itself could be described, modeled, and even recreated by machines. Without his work, there would be no artificial intelligence, no digital age as we know it. But his legacy is not only technological, it is also moral. His life forces us to confront how easily societies can destroy the people who give them the most. He was punished for being different, for loving in a way that his culture refused to accept. And yet, his ideas help build a future that is more connected, more informed, and in many ways more open. When we talk about Alan Turing, we're talking about the cost of progress, and about the responsibility we have to protect those who push humanity forward. Today, Turing is honored with statues, awards, and public apologies from the government that once condemned him. But the most important tribute is that his work continues to shape the world every single day. Every time a machine processes information, every time an algorithm solves a problem, a small part of Turing's vision is being carried forward into the future.
Before we move on, I want to bring Margaret into the conversation. Margaret, what would you recommend for anyone who wants to go deeper into Alan Turing's life and work?
Thank you, Clara. Alan Turing's story is both intellectually fascinating and deeply human, and these 3 books capture that beautifully. The first is Alan Turing, The Enigma by Andrew Hodges. This is the definitive biography. It explores his childhood, his brilliant mind, his war work, and the personal struggles that shaped his life. The second is The Man Who Knew Too Much by David Levitt. This book focuses on the emotional and cultural side of Turing's story, helping you understand what it was like to be a gay man and a genius in mid-20th century Britain. And the third is The Code Book by Simon Singh. While it covers the broader history of cryptography, it explains Turing's role in breaking Enigma and shows just how decisive his work was for the outcome of the war. Together, these books give you the mind, the man, and the moment in history that made Alan Turing one of the most important figures of our time.
Thank you, Margaret. That was wonderful. Rowan, after everything we've heard, the genius, the war, the injustice, how would you summarize Alan Turing's life and legacy for someone hearing his story for the first time?
Alan Turing's life reads like a paradox. He was a quiet, awkward man who imagined machines that could think, and in doing so, helped give birth to the digital age. He changed the fate of a global war by turning abstract mathematics into tools that saved millions of lives. Yet he lived much of his life unseen, uncelebrated, and misunderstood. His work laid the foundation for modern computing, for cryptography, and for artificial intelligence. The idea that a single, universal machine could perform any calculation is the backbone of every device we use today. From the smallest smartphone to the largest supercomputer, Turing's vision is still at work. But Turing's story is not only about technology, It is about how societies treat those who are different. He was punished not for what he did, but for who he was. The same nation that owed him its safety denied him dignity and compassion. And that makes his legacy even more powerful. It reminds us that progress often comes from people who don't fit in, from minds that don't follow the usual paths. Turing's life asks us whether we are willing to protect and respect those minds, or whether we will repeat the same mistakes. Today, we honor him with awards, statues, and apologies. But the truest honor is that his ideas continue to shape our world every single day. Every algorithm, every encrypted message, every intelligent system carries a piece of his imagination forward. Alan Turing gave us the tools to build the future. His life reminds us that we must also build a world worthy of the people who create it.
Thank you, Rowan, and thank you for spending this time with us. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We love hearing your thoughts. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for being here, Rowan. I always love these conversations.
So do I, Clara. It's been a pleasure.
And to everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us keep these conversations going. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you very soon.